Alright, what's going on, everybody? I'm here today and I'm just going to be walking through my most recent video of the Lyrical Lemonade ad that I created. And I'll just be taking you guys through on how I edited this video, so let's get into it. Okay, so we've made it inside of the project file, and the first thing I want to go through is over here on the left is all of the, let me sort this real quick by media type. Here are all of the sound effects that we put on this video. So what made this video unique is all, like as you can see here in the timeline, everything, all the audio you hear in this video is all fake. It's all stuff that I put in after none of it was recorded on the actual set. So all of it is just sound effects that I found off YouTube, and then I just downloaded them through in my project. So the way I figure out which sound effects I should actually use in my video, I hit up this guy named Lobo Films on Instagram. He's the GOAT. His videos are insane, visually and audibly, and the audio is insane as well. But I asked him, how do you know what sounds to use? And he said, a big part of it is not thinking it has to be so practical and to have fun with it. Sometimes I just try things that I feel sound cool with the visuals versus trying to be so practical with it. So I really took that into account here in this video, and some of these sound effects, you know, they're very real, like the walking sound effects, sitting down, breathing or whatever, you know, those are all things that would actually be real. But there are a few things that I put in here that aren't necessarily practical or not necessarily things that you would actually hear in the moment, but they really tell the story. But let's go through some of my favorite sound effects that I feel really captured the emotion in this video. So first I want to talk about the environment sounds that I chose. So let's just look at the intro here. Okay, so let's show you what this video would sound like without the environment noise in the intro. It definitely feels like it's lacking something, right? So what I decided to do was I just looked up like forest ambience, and this is what it sounds like. You know, just like these random bird chirping noises, they don't sound very good on their own, but when you mix it with the actual video, it tells a whole new story and makes it feel a lot more real. Another sound effect that I want to talk about here is this cloth ripping sound effect. Believe it or not, I didn't even hear anything, honestly, when he ripped the cloth. But when I add this sound, let's solo in on it. And then I added this one as well here. Okay, wait, I gotta put this one on this track up here. Okay, so this is what just the cloth ripping sounds sound like. I mean, do I even have to say anything more about that? I just feel like it really told the story and was like super crazy. And at first, when I was editing this, I just put the initial one, but then I realized the cloth actually rips a little bit more right there. So I added the sound effect there, and then at the end, fully rips, and I added another sound there. Okay, let's talk about our next sound effect. Here, you know, let's just play the audio that was on the clip initially. Where's the story in that, right? So here's what I did. I found these I looked up walking through leaves sound effects. So I put the sound effect into the timeline. So this is what it sounds like when I added those walking through the leaves sound effects. Very nice. And then as he sat down, I feel like, you know, there wasn't any sound effect. I'm like, I feel like you would hear him sitting down. So I actually found this other sound effect of like a cushion noise of him sitting down. So I added this. It's very, very subtle, but it really helps carry the story and make you really feel like you're inside of this video. Okay, so the next sound effect that I want to talk about is actually one we had to create ourselves, because I looked through YouTube at the different options of sound effects that I could pick, and it was for the scene where Tommy looks very frustrated walking down by the river. And I wanted to add like grunting noise, because you can look in his face, see the frustration, his teeth are grinding, and I just wanted to add a kind of noise, you know what I mean? So we actually had to record it ourselves, and initially I had my brother try and do it, roll a clip of my brother trying to do it. What are we doing over here, Matthew? We got the grunting sound effects, the master of grunting sound effects. All right, so he can't manage to actually make a groaning sound effect without sounding like a moan. Do it. See what it sounds like.
Everyone shows. Ready? Okay, I'm gonna put myself in it.
Yeah, go. Bro actually can't do it to save his life. Nash, how's it supposed to sound? Yes, exactly. Matthew, do it, do it, do it. Here, ready? That's what you sound like, bro. Yeah, bro, respect to him, but could not do it for the life of him. He was not getting the right emotion, so I had my boy Nash try it. Like that? Like.
Bro, I swear I was doing.
Do more like a little lighter though. Yeah, Nash absolutely killed it. So the grunt noise that you hear in the video is actually just Nash grunting, which leads me to the next thing that I want to talk about, though, is the volume that you put your sound effects at makes such a big difference. Okay, so to show an example of this, at the intro, I had the environment noises at -12 decibels. Let me show you what it sounds like if you actually played it at full volume, at the normal volume that you get it with. I mean, as you can probably see, it really just drowns out the piano because obviously Tommy and the piano is the main point of the video, right? So making the environment sounds too loud would actually be distracting. It's more of a supplement. Think of your sound effects as supplements to telling the story. They're not the main part, but without them, you know, your video's nothing. So make sure you're paying attention to the volume at which your sound effects are at and make them feel as real as possible. Another thing that I want to talk about is the pitch. And Premiere Pro has an effect called pitch shifter. You can just change the pitch. If something's too high pitched or too low, you can bring it up or down, obviously. And I just wanted to talk about the cloth rips again, actually, because with the cloth rips, initially, let me show you what they sounded like. One more time for you. Are we serious? That, to me, that just sounded like paper ripping or just like, it didn't sound right. But that was the right vibe for me. So what I went ahead and did was I found my cloth rip, changed the volume. Notice how I made it quieter over here. What's the volume at? -21 decibels. It feels right to be at that volume. And then I also threw the pitch shifter on there, and I turned it down. See, that's actually a pretty big change. -12 semitones, and I changed it to 24 cents. I don't really know. I know what the semitones do. I don't really know what the cents do, but I changed it anyways because why not? And I got it to sound like this. Right, it sounds more of like that cloth instead of that papery sound. So yeah, don't forget, you can always change the pitch and the volume to your sound effects if you don't like it, but they're almost there. If they need something extra, you can always do that. Okay, so now that we got the sound effects out of the way, let's talk about visuals, specifically color grading. Now, color grading is one of the best ways to capture emotion in your video. It can really make the biggest difference on whether your video is good or bad. I've been using the same camera my whole life in pretty much the same settings, but until I figured out how to actually color grade, my videos were pretty bad. So color grading really makes the biggest difference. Let me show you exactly why that is. All right, so what you're looking at here is the raw footage out of my camera. I shot this video in S-Log 3 on my Sony a6400. Obviously, you know, S-Log gets washed out, or any log profile will be washed out. And then I threw a little LUT on there. Shout out Ethan Wagner if you're watching this, which you're not. I used your LUT, and it immediately made the video better. See, if you want to be like me, don't learn how to color grade. Just find a good LUT and see what works for you. However, let's talk about this. It's not just the LUT, because this is what the video looked like initially with only the LUT. I had to go in and actually make some basic corrections to get the video to look how I wanted it to capture the vibe of the yellowness in the video, right? Because what I was going for is, you know, the all is yellow motto, so I really had to make these trees look a lot more yellow than they were. Okay, so another example of color grading that I really want to show you that I feel like is some of my best work is this is the drone shot at the end of the video. This is what it initially looked like without me touching it. Not only is it not yellow, but literally the quality just, I have a DJI Mini 3, so it doesn't actually shoot in log. So what I went ahead and did was I pretty much turned it into a log format. See, look at before, after. I washed out the colors. See, I turned the saturation down, I turned contrast down, highlights up a little bit, shadows up a little bit, but I just really washed out this image so that when I turned on the LUT, it would make it perfect. If you're not shooting in log right now, make sure you shoot in log if your camera supports it, and if it doesn't, you can turn your footage into log by just, you know, washing out the color and the contrast, and then you can use some LUTs and not ever have to color grade ever again, and just be lazy and like me and use really good LUTs. On to the next. Okay, so another thing in this video that I feel like was very important was deciding whether to shoot on a tripod or whether I shoot handheld, because When you shoot on a tripod, obviously you're going to get the most steady image you can. But when you shoot handheld, you're going to get those natural camera shakes. Usually you would think that's bad, right? However, in this video, I want you to feel like you're right next to Tommy going through this pain of sucking at piano. I want you to feel like you're there and you're feeling his pain with him, right? So I actually decided to do not all of this, but most of this handheld. When I decided to do handheld was in those moments where Tommy was stressed and you really felt like you were in the scene with him by, the camera shaking, and it didn't feel like you were just sitting on a tripod from a distance. It felt like you were in there moving around with him. I decided that handheld would actually be a good way to go, and also to prove that you really don't need a gimbal or super nice stabilizing equipment to make a really good film. So the last thing we're going to talk about here is the actual secret sauce to adding just something so subtle that makes your videos way better. So let's look at this clip of Tommy playing the piano here. It's a good shot. However, I decided to go ahead and add some scaling. It's very, very subtle, but I did zoom in a little bit more, and then I scaled out by the end by just setting these keyframes up here. Oopsies. But yeah, it scales from 110 down to 100. I just scaled it by a very little bit, but it did make a huge difference in the end of the project. Let's look at the beginning clip as well, without the scaling effects. It's pretty good, once again. However, if we throw on these scaling effects, you're moving towards him now. You feel like there's some camera movement, makes it a little bit more entertaining, a little bit more engaging, and adds some sauce to your videos. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's how I created this ad for Lyrical Lemonade. Of course, it's not all in the edit. There's the actual pre-production, thinking about this video. Like I said before, I've been thinking about this video since July. Like, I had a lot of time to put my most creative efforts into this video and think about the different shots and everything, but planning and everything, that plays a huge role as well in the product of your video. Obviously, being on set, choosing a location, choosing the right focal lengths and aperture, that all plays a big role in your video as well. However, I think probably the most essential part is the post-production, editing, sound effects, VFX, color grading, all of it. That will change the game for you. If you can get this stuff down, then you'll be able to really master your craft and become a really good editor / videographer. I hope this video was helpful for you guys today. If you enjoyed it, you know what to do. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.